chat as well, Rich.
You know.
Hey, it
Mr.
pops up
Coyote.
saying you are live. This is amazing. Wow. Hello and welcome to Let's Drone Out. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Let's Drone Out. Editor, you choose which one sounds better. Right. Tonight we are joined by the beautiful, wonderful, lovely Blue Owl, who I constantly upset.
Hello, that's not true. We're cool.
And in matching t-shirts, Andrew / Frank.
Good evening.
So Blue
Not
Owl
bad.
and Frank are wearing the same t-shirt. I think, or same shirt. It is a shirt, isn't it? I keep saying t-shirt. I'm sorry. And we are joined by everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Hello. I didn't get the note about the shirts, and then Jack stole my one, so I'm a bit confused.
Yeah, so I got to represent. Pretend I was worthy. Something I've always watched and admired from far was Curry's brought in a guest, and I remember seeing like Luke Bannister and everyone tear it up in Kent, and it's the Mad Dog lads, and we are joined by none other than Flyboy C. Is that right?
How's it going? Yeah.
Hello, Rich. So you may know him from episodes where he plows into the back of Curry Kitten and destroys everything that Curry Kitten holds dear in the sky. So I'm guessing
Well, that was mostly our previous guest, Neil. I don't think me and Rich ever had any mid-airs, unless we meant to do it.
Was that a comment from Ian Coyote, who's making some sort of suggestion that we slept in the same place together? I think so.
I think it was.
Are you wearing feed monitor earpiece?
Yes, I've got those earwax things that you never share with anyone.
Oh my
That are
god!
very intimate and personal in-ear devices. Yeah.
I've
dropped
always,
out
if I
completely
die,
then.
I want to be reincarnated as that, but NJ's, so I can be inside him. Happy birthday, NJ! If you know NJ or follow NJ Tech on any social media or anything, or you're in the Let's Drone Out Discord, then please wish NJ a happy birthday. I'm bright till I fly. Let's get on with the show. Curry Kitten, over to you, my friend.
We just had a little message there as well from a friend of ours, mutual friend. Right, so I just wanted to... I prepared a very quick 3-minute video of people that don't know what Mad Dogs was back in the day. And, of course, my browser just crashed out, and now I have to find the stupid thing again, which is bloody typical. Where are we?
Well done, Macintosh. Fluff, how's your week been, Curry Kitten? Did you get a good night's sleep after I bored you to death of Thimbleweed Park on Twitch last night?
I slept very well. I think it was because I walked for 2 hours, enabled to not be able to fly, which was annoying. I'll come to that soon. Right. What we're looking at here is footage from September 2012. I think it was Richard's idea. He said, let's get together. And we were talking about, I think it was the first person view. It was Simon Dale's shoot off forum website, FPV, maybe FPV, was it FPV UK, FPV UK before it became FPV Hub? And we all got together in a forum, decided to try and meet up and fly some stuff. As you can see, everybody in the world owned a DJI F450 because that's what your quad was back in 2012, and it had
Everyone
like
except for me.
Everyone except for you who just had
I never had one.
There's a Spyhawk there. This is a standing round. That is Rich's 20-foot pole, which meant we were spotted by a New Forest ranger and asked to leave because you're not allowed to fly in the New Forest. So then we went to Southampton, and you can just see that we're basically just trying to find places to fly and basically hang out together. Early days, I thought this was buttery smooth. This was flying on my tricopter. This is where we ended up. This is Great Hazley, the village of Great Hazley where Rich was living, and this is the cricket ground. You can see we've got a big flight line there. We've got a lot of stuff. This is what it turned into. This was the pinnacle of the event, and we've got at least 5 planes in the air here. There's some more buzzing about. This is a guy called Badlands video. This was like the best day ever. We just had the great conditions. We spent all day just flying in formation, chasing each other around, having a great old day. And we used to do these things 2 to 3 times a year. Rich would basically book the cricket club. The cricket club loved us because we brought revenue into their club. And you can see the area. We could just fly for a good couple of kilometers, rounding a circle, never see another thing. And we had lots of planes up because everybody was using like some on 5.8 videos, some on 2.4, some on 1.3, different types of control. Really helped us get a lot of guys in the air.
And a lot of people on the exact same frequency, Dwayne.
Yeah. And we did some crazy things as well. This is me trying to fly at night with my camera not focusing and having zero ground details. This is Rich's, from his point of view. That's my plane in front, which just looks like that lit up thing. That was absolutely hilarious. The flight there and trying to get back and having people shouting at us, trying to get like over trees and not crash and stuff. Just fantastic memories all the way through. I don't know if that was the one Ian was probably at because he was complaining about my story. And this is just all the embarrassing clips I found of Rich. This is like I literally gave him my plane to hold and he dropped it, which was typical. There you go, the soundboard. And then of course we've got the great Buffalo 79 launches. To be fair, everybody tried throwing this.
I was the first person who broke it though, Dwayne.
No, Neil threw it first and he broke it. But this is it in slow-mo, just a great example of why you don't throw a plane upwards.
Yeah, but look at that technique. Come on, look at that look at that follow through.
Look at the plane explode into a million pieces.
Oh no.
And then we had a great video series where this is the thing that makes me laugh every time. If you had sound, Rich is saying, "I'll catch it," and then you hear this little scream come out of him as he tries to run away. and I hit him with the plane. And on that very same day, he tried it again. He was like, "I'll get it."
I'll catch my own plane.
And then twice in one day, I let him try again. Old Butterfingers here.
I knew this was going to happen. I just knew this was going to happen.
I had all the video on my hard drive.
How many times did it have to happen until you stopped trusting him?
What started to happen is Rich would run out in the field and say, "I'll get it," and I would just divert and come around and land somewhere else.
Sorry, man.
Wayne, that whole thing started with me catching my own plane, and I put the video out, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And then you tried the same thing. No video was ever produced.
I put a video of me catching my own plane. I also caught your Easy Star perfectly on that very same day. And then you suggested it was all about the skill of the pilot, not about the skill of the catcher, as I remember it.
That's exactly it. Because you got to come in and flare and be as slow as you can. It's really cool to see those old clips, Wayne.
Fun things. I would love you to put your footage back up. There are some amazing night flights that Richard did. Perhaps may seem a bit naughty now, especially the one over Southampton. There's also a 10-kilometer flight, which we call the 10-kilometer flight by proxy, whereas he had like 4 people trying to explain to him the way back and all had different ideas of directions to go, and you can just hear all these voices talking about, no, that's not the way, it's this way.
I don't want to offend anyone, and present company excluded, of course. Okay, but this game, this whole FPV thing is about obsessive compulsive disordered people. Okay, and we just got to be honest about that. So you got 3 or 4 OCD people. One has actually put a grand up in the sky, breaking every single aviation rule there is, crossing a Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire military flight line, trying to get 10 kilometers out for the very first time. Anyway, I hope your video doesn't get demonetized or anything.
We should maybe read the disclaimer since we're going to be talking about this.
Is there a disclaimer?
Yeah, we have a disclaimer. Any views expressed by any guests on this show, especially that one, are personal and may not reflect the views of others. And we may have done this stuff, or we may just be making it up. But I wanted to ask Rich, because nobody's flying too much, and I thought it was a good opportunity to reminisce about the good old days, is how we got going with Mad Dogs and what sort of stuff we used to get up to there. Because the people coming along to it now, it's a very different story than it was back in 2012 to sort of 2016 when we were doing this.
First of all, the idea with Mad Dogs is that we would go out through all weathers at any time for any reason. We were junkies, and the amount of time, my marriage never worked out. It didn't survive it, but Wayne is still happily married, and I'm sure everyone else is as well. We put a hell of a lot of time into building flight controllers, programming, opening APIs, and trying to get things working. And it's not like today where you just buy things off the shelf and do a bit of Twix sticks. And I'm not even talking about those who pick up their DJI stock. No offense again. I own two. But if you were going to throw something up in the sky back then, there was this whole movement going on the web, yet you couldn't actually connect with anyone who was doing it. And, I wasn't exactly like a new age sort of basement simp who could just like be on his own. I wanted to have fun with everyone else. So
he knows the word simp.
So again, listen, everything is present company excluded. Okay,
Are you Generation X or are you a proper boomer? I can't tell.
I'm a Gen X. I'm a Gen X, yeah. Fair
play. Woke as fuck, man. Yo.
You think so? I'm not woke at all. Oh my god. Anyway, so we all got together, and thank goodness, and hello to Ian Coyote as well. We put this whole thing together through FPV Hub, which was, what's that thing you called it before?
It was
FPV.org.uk.
I think it was FPV. What happened is everybody knows Simon Dale, who had FPV firstpersonview.co.uk. He put this forum out and he paid for all the web hosting. I think he still pays for the hosting of FPV Hub. But what had happened is people kept posting flights that were not quite legal. And it wasn't like, people were flying into babies and stuff. It's just I didn't have a spotter or I went behind a tree. And he got a bit twitchy about, I don't want this associated with my commercial site. So it became FPV Hub and hence distance. And after that, we could stop pretending we had this, the spotter was behind me. You probably couldn't see him in my video, that sort of stuff. And we could just get on with it.
Wayne, there's enough time and distance between us all to get really honest about it. Okay, so FPV.org, we're trying to, in the early days, become the voice of FPV and the whole model thing then, because they saw this burgeoning industry. They'd seen an amazing future where millions of people were going to invest in this new technology. That what they didn't actually foresee was the regulations that were going to follow and just bugger the whole thing up. But so I think Simon was pretty keen to become, when a new industry starts, you'll get the top monopolizing business will then become the regulator, would then become who would be in cahoots with the CAA and everyone else involved. And granted, Simon did a lot of work trying to get rid of the word drone and talk about FPV and piloting and all that sort of stuff. But I think he was hoping to be the first actor in the whole game, and kudos to him. He imported stuff from all over the world to get the thing going, and we started. I think Mad Dogs, the first one was the 11th of June 2012. Is that correct, Wayne?
It was in my video as September 2012. It's certainly in 2012, and I'd already had a tricopter and a 450 then, so it was somewhere into 2012.
That's correct, yeah. So the whole idea was just to be able to fly with other people, and we obviously those weekends, and they normally they often turn into whole weekends, would just be where we would learn about flight controllers and what this one's doing and what that one's doing, and it was an amazing time, I think it was, and I kind of miss that, to be honest. I'm actually thinking now of putting together a long-range beast that I can fly from an undisclosed location in Africa.
Yeah, it was. We did lots of stuff. Hey, it's David Winterstall.
Oh, David Winterstall.
He was responsible for all the tricopters. But
we used to be thinking about the early days. David Winterstall's part of the triune god of FPV, isn't it?
Yeah. If Dave looks now, look, there's my tri. That was what I was flying in 2012, and it's still sat there on my wall. And to be fair, it flies like a fucking potato now. But back in the old days, that just felt as smooth as butter with the lovely KK2.
So that's the David quad with the KK2.
Yes, it started off with a KK.
No,
board.
try.
Yeah. See, I didn't even include your tri-flying because there was that great picture from Badlands where it just falls out of the sky and breaks.
I tried.
Nice.
But seriously, I mean, David Winstill actually, again, was one of the very early people responsible for getting stability, at least in those tries, and his footage is buttery smooth. What he gave to this hobby in terms of, the try and all the little things that he had engineered, I mean, he's absolute legend. So, yeah, good to see his name again. Jeez.
Yeah, we like him.
I love you, David.
So
Yes.
we used to do cool things at Mad Dogs. I think we actually had a board, at least on one of them, to say who could fly the furthest, which possibly might be regarded badly. It's like, who can go the furthest away and come back? Because there were plenty of instances of people not coming back as well. Although members of the public always eventually found the planes and would return them. They somehow knew, even ones that ended up miles away, that, there's some cricket ground that people fly from.
Or a
And
year
so-
later after the crop was harvested, yeah?
Yes, some of them had been through a combine harvester, to be fair, but that's just what happens when you wouldn't have believed it. We saw literally a wing go down, and it was only 50 meters in front of us. We're like, it's over there, and then everybody had quads up in the air trying to get like aerial footage. There's 20 people in the field walking back and forth. Nobody could find it. It was just lost. And then next year, the farmer plows it. It's like, I found this plane. Is it yours? Crazy. But there were
actually,
multiple.
Wayne, sorry to interrupt
Go
you
on.
there. The whole search and rescue thing. Do you remember in the early days when a lot of people got licenses like Jim? Who was that crazy Polish guy from the hub? Ian's going to tell us in the comments. Marzen, and a whole lot of those sort of characters who went for this licensing, and they had foreseen these amazing commercial opportunities. So whenever a plane went down at Mad Dogs, and it could be anywhere between Great Hazley, which is South Oxfordshire, all the way up to, what was that mountain range that sort of separated Buckinghamshire, 10 miles away. And almost all of them were found, to be honest, but, not in very good shape. Do you remember the one where I lost in the adjacent farm? And then we pulled off the footage. And this farmer says, "Well, I'm going to keep it. Look at this ghetto
one.
lands in my
He
field."
decided he was gonna keep your plane.
And that's when the media was all talking about that these drones are flying around and they're looking at your ladies who are like, suntanning naked in England. Come on, no one suntans naked. And with something like 7 million CCTV cameras, we can't exactly complain about privacy. I don't think. I think that was a very disingenuous argument against FPV, drones.
I do remember the one. What happened again? This is slightly shady to talk about, but I think we can now because it was many years ago. Is you had the Penguin, which was a nice plane, but you'd come in and you hit a seat, I think, and broke it, and the tail had come off. But then you saw some powered paragliders going over, so you quickly gaffer taped the tail back on and said, "I'm going to chase these paragliders and get some footage." And then that went down about 1.5 kilometers away by the fishing lakes. So we had to go and recover that. But when we did, again, we found more friends because we didn't know there was technology in fishing. These guys had these bait boats and they would text them if they got a bite and stuff. They had fully remote control bait dropping things. We had sort of kindred spirits there. So they were quite excited to tell us that, yeah, we saw a plane go down over there and we could recover it quite nicely. But what I was just going to say as well is that there were many pretty amazing things done there. A lot of one-offs. When flyingwings.co.uk was still running, Rob would bring his prototype wings and let us fly them. There were multiple 10K plus runs done. I flew the first of my cardboard planes there and smashed
Altitude records.
Yeah,
Cloud
maybe.
busting.
The cloud busting, the let's get to 1,000 meters within 1 minute with some as I said, slightly dodgy thing. One of the ones I remember best is a 10K night flight in which what was his name? Can't remember it now. He turned his lights on and on his wing, and we could see it from over 10K away. This plane just lit up.
So it's still within line of sight then, if you can see it.
That was our argument. If we
Exactly.
can see it, it's line of sight.
I see from that sort of crowd, and I have been having a look. What is his name? Someone G. I'm going to embarrass myself now. But there are still quite a few of those guys who are still putting up videos, and they're still going pretty far, which is cool. I don't think the line of sight police are terribly active, or maybe they're just distracted looking for quads.
In terms of like, can this sort of stuff still be done today? And of course, we have to say, because of legal reasons, not legally, technically, you may be breaking some laws depending where you are. But in my sort of experience, Ian's saying Adam G does FPV. In my experience, the powers that be are much more likely to come after you for what is obviously dangerous flying, and that is, don't fly over people, don't fly over property, don't fly over vehicles and stuff. If you're in the middle of a field and you fly 10k away, but you remain in the middle of a field, there is very little perceived danger than if you were flying 10k and you crossed motorways and cities and things like that. I think that's the case.
Exactly. I mean, in those days, all we had said to anyone, and I remember a flight that I did over Hensbury Head in Dorset. There was a bit of backlash on the channel from the Nature Conservancy, who were talking about birds that were nesting. So I love both those things, and I wouldn't want to offend. But it seems like in those days you could just say, well, there was no ill intention, there was no bad intention, and you could almost flummox them with BS. Do you know what I mean? At Mad Dogs, the big thing was just to get the members of the public who are walking up and they've got this flustered look on their face. You just put a pair of goggles on them and give them a beer, and you're all sweet. You know. I think it's not the same today, but I'm definitely getting back into long range now. I'm planning a new setup. I don't know how the hell I'm going to import anything into the UK now after Brexit, but my strategy is just going to be to get to Sealand, see if I can get to France. And again, just it's all about, and I think Ian will appreciate this, David will appreciate this, and you, Wayne. It's about the setup of the electronics, the separation of the antennas, how you tweak your system, whether you open the API for Google on your flight controller and do something interesting. But those are I think to me, those are the real sort of joys and challenges of what I sort of call FPV. And yeah, I think I'd be totally happy to explain to anybody on a UK beach facing out to sea what I'm doing. Flying inland, I think I'm going to give that a miss until I can get back to Africa one day, or to the Caribbean or something.
Yeah, this came out on I did a live stream for my 20k subscriber sort of celebration, and people were talking about long range, and my answer was because it's very exciting to fly quads, especially Blue Owl, who flies them looking at the sky all the time at 65 degrees. You fly a sort of relatively short range around trees and obstacles and that, and from the sound of it, long range sounds boring because essentially you're going out in a straight line and you're coming back again. But it's all about setting up and being able to basically overcome all the issues you're going to have, especially back in the day, because back then long range meant you were using 433 megahertz, and that did not like to play well with other electronics. You sort of, the bigger the wing, the better, because you could put one antenna over there and your VTX over there, and it wasn't so bad. Nowadays, with all the other long-range systems like Crossfire and Ghost and Tracer, it gets a lot easier to do longer range for free, if you like. And
we do need to get Don Robinson on the show at some point, because he's been in the LDO Discord, link in the description below, talking about his latest projects with Express LRS, and kind of some boards specifically made to work with that. So I think there's definitely a lot of interest again in the kind of that side of things. Be interesting to see, because Express LRS have been working like both with the 2.4 and the 8900 megahertz, to kind of have a low latency, high speed, like the Tracer and Crossfire and everything else like that.
Yeah.
But it's open, or at least more open source, and they're getting some boards that should be able to work as receivers that work with across multiple transmitters. In terms of you don't have to buy an Express LRS radio. You can buy whatever radio you want and then make it work with some receivers that he's working on. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how that works into everything.
Yeah, it's cool. I keep hearing about that, and back last year it seemed to be, get rid of R9 and replace with Express LRS because the latency is better. But now it seems to have been developed enough where it's also a really interesting long-range system as well.
I wonder, did that come off the open LRS open source platform to begin with? Probably.
It's probably another fork or something like that. We'll have to get Dom on and explain
something. Yeah.
What other old school stories have you guys got? How did it all properly start? Who would you class as your right hand man, Rich?
So I sort of identified the field where I lived in Greater Hazley, which is sort of in South Oxfordshire, very rural, very, very much sort of gentrified area, lots of farmers and little quaint villages and stuff, but also lots of open land and miles of distance. So I was relatively new in the game, obviously linked up with FPV.org, which is now FPV Hub. And the whole thing was just in the ascendancy, but no one was doing anything. And I'm a very sociable guy. So I thought, okay, I'll just put up an event and see who comes. We did all get together in the New Forest, which was awesome. But that was just so sort of random. And I thought, okay, great. We get a place where we can camp and we can cook. And, thank God the South African shops in London they sell boerewors, which is a very special South African sausage. I hope there are no vegans offended by this. But that and cold South African beer, I guess, also just took me home a little bit, the couple of hot days that we get to have an event on. And I think everyone's girlfriends and wives were glad to see the back of us for a day or two. And so we put that together, and I made sure that there was good buy-in from the village. I got to know, what was his name? Dave, a gentleman. He passed away eventually. But Dave was like the local village guy. He's actually a honorary character in the Vicar of Dibley, because my next door neighbor was Richard Curtis, and he wrote the Vicar of Dibley in that little village. And you got all the ideas from sitting in the pub every afternoon. So that's the sort of place it was. So everyone was either with you or against you. And I just let them tolerate me for the first couple of months. And I was flying out at the cricket field. There wasn't much cricket going on. So the thing was a big expense to the village. And then we put on the first one, which I think it was a little late in the year. It was getting a little bit cold, right? It's getting a bit cold. And but there was a great turnout. I think we had about 15 or 20 people at the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where it was too big, so no one could fly, and you'd be flying, and suddenly, I could just see someone's feet, which was always a pain. And I think it got limited to 15 in the end, didn't it? And so it's like you offer the spaces, and then they get snapped up by people, and then they come along.
Yeah, I always felt that there weren't enough people there, because look, I mean, the UK is a small place, but it's a big place too. So to get people to come down from the north, and there's a lot of people we knew on the forums who, that just never made it either up or down. But yeah, I mean, look, you drove pretty far to get there. So it definitely had this sort of feel that we were all doing something awesome, something important.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, I suppose that the similarity here might be something like the mini air show, where there's stuff going on, but it's also a case of you hang out with your friends, you see what they're flying, you talk to them about what they're doing, and you learn some stuff from them and stuff. But you had a great relationship with the village, but some of the guys another bunch of guys that still fly now, the Team Woolies, So they did a bit of a road trip up one year, and I remember Rich getting very worried that we were going to be banned forever because they're a rowdy lot. They like the odd tipple.
Oh,
And
when you
then
said
apparently they
Woolies,
like to
you
play
are referring to our Welsh friends, are you
our
not?
Welsh friends, yes.
Okay.
Team Woolly Sheep.
My daughter still speaks of them fondly, especially where I think it's about 3 times a year that I watch your Night Flight video. Obviously, there's a lot of Welsh commentary in there. And Simon, do you guys still use his antennas, by the way? Big nose antennas?
He stopped doing antennas a while ago.
Oh, okay. He just made a really great version of the IB Crazy 5.8s and 2.4s and 1.2s, and I went pretty far on his junk, But I do remember the weekend they came up. That was a problem. That was a problem for everyone.
Yes. So watch out if you're anywhere near Team Woolly Sheep, people. They're a rowdy bunch.
But there are a lot of fun stories, a lot of war stories from that period as well. But I think at the same time, a lot of people were trying to organize really big organized events with banners and advertising, and they just, a lot of them fell through back then. Whereas we sort of had quite a pull because it was just a bunch of uncomplicated guys, not trying to make any money, not trying to make a thing of it. And just remembering back on that, there's a whole lot of, Wayne, I think you'll agree, there's a whole lot of first time things for this industry. I mean, we had the first mini quads racing, and Benny was a kid. Do you remember?
Yeah, I tell the story. He was 13, and his mum bought them.
Yeah,
and his mum, because you disappeared somewhere, and so she came to. For some reason, I was in charge, and she's like, "You have to look after my son. Here's my number." So I've still got Benny's mum's number somewhere in my phone, in case anybody's interested. And within 10 minutes, Neil, my arch nemesis Neil, had him climbing a tree like a chimney sweep to get a plane back. I was like, I have to explain to his mum if he falls out of a tree and dies now. Sorry, we accidentally killed your son. Yeah, but we had the first of the mini quad races there, and like Ratty used to be a big wing guy. This is Richard. I forgot his last name now. He got. Yeah, Roland. He did a lot of organising of quad races and stuff, didn't he?
So he does a lot of the IFPV into FPV, and that is currently the BDRA kind of official race calendar, and he does a lot of the kind of points management of the leagues from that as well. I think he's still involved in a lot of that.
Yeah,
he was in the first what is it called, the World Cup or something in the Arab Emirates in Dubai. He was there for the UK.
Yeah, the Drone World Championship in Dubai.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's a beast. Do you know that he wants to become a fighter pilot, and I believe he will do it.
We're talking about
Benny.
Yeah.
Now Luke. Yeah, Luke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Wayne, as I recall, his mum was happy to leave him there because he got on so well with Holly, my daughter. And I mean, actually, for my daughter, she's somebody who remembers Mad Dog so well. The other guys all wanted to get away from the kids very often, but Wayne brought Sophie through once or twice, and they got together and stuff. But she really remembers. When you're a kid, everything is so much bigger, and we got footage of planes getting dangerously close to her. But she absolutely loved it, never lost a finger, and she's still talking about it today. And that's what, 10 years later or 8 years later?
There is similar footage when Sophie came up. There was this time where we had this big inflatable thing.
Yes, the big sausage.
It, being stupid. And there's voice of my wife that I had to cut out saying, Sophie, get away with it. You're going to get killed. And I was like, well, I'm okay. I know what you're doing. He's the world champion at this, so we should be fine. But she wasn't having it. These are dangerous things. You're all going to die. But another thing I remember so well when you had Holly with you is Rich, when we camped, we like had tents. And for some reason, Rich bought this thing. You can get these tents that you just sit under at the beach to keep the shade off you. Mm-hmm. He had one of these to sleep in.
Such a bastard, Wayne. You're going to have to finish the story, aren't you?
Yes, and
Okay.
he was just
Can I
like,
tell the story? I can predict exactly what he's going to say.
"What's it about?"
Carry on.
Mime him.
You see, men generally, when they're inferior, compare size. Carry on, Wayne. Carry on.
It's what you do at the council.
It's true. I had a little.
This isn't about your tent,
You're
which
married.
was pathetic, but this was about Rich saying, "I'm just going to read Holly a bedtime story, and then I come back out and we'll do this flight." So we're sort of waiting. So sometimes what would happen is we'd turn on. It's like, "I'll be 2 minutes. Launch. I'll be with you," and so we're flying around for half an hour. It's like, "Where's Rich?" He was reading a story, and we just hear this snoring coming from the tent because he's fallen asleep. Reading a story to his daughter.
Wayne,
And we're running out of lipos up here.
Dr. Zeus at 8 o'clock in the evening is like heroin. Okay. Sleep. Okay. All right. I thought you were going to tell the other story. I'm glad you didn't. Thanks.
I'm not sure what we mean by the other story. There are many other stories. Ian wanted to talk about my legendary snoring, which everybody knows is legendary. The NHS have told me if you sleep next to me, you're legally entitled to wear some sort of ear protection because it's over 90 decibels and that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh my god!
So if you were in the same
other
field as
story
me,
you thought he was going to tell?
I don't know.
Rich.
Oh, what was the other story Wayne was going to tell? Well, he was going to tell you about my very insignificant little tent. A little, like a little Indian chief tent that you get when you're 9 years old. And
Wendy House.
No, smaller than that. Really ridiculous.
We could
and
tell
then the
it
next
was in it because we could see shape against it, and it had no interior lining either. So of course,
Exactly.
during the night, all the condensation just ran down onto it.
Sure. And then the following season, I got this huge tent that we all flew through. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And that actually reminds me of. So who was the chap again with the tricopter? The brilliant filming. I mean, what a genius.
What, Martin Badlands?
Martin Badlands. Yeah, I mean, we also did. Martin and I used to go through to Bounce. Anyone hear of Bounce? And in fact, the guy who ran Bounce made a brilliant flight controller for 3D helicopters. Angelos, the Greek chap, Angelos, FEB Bounce. Did you ever go there, Wayne?
I never got an invite. It was invite only, and you weren't allowed to ask. You had to be invited.
You never got the nod, mate. Sorry. No, it's not that at all. I just seen FPV Steve is on here. I mean, my God, if we talk about one character from the olden days, Steve, how you doing, brother? Now that's one person who never came to Mad Dogs. He's saying, "Hey, Ian." No, he's talking to somebody else when I'm talking to him. But Steve never made it down. But did you go to? I did meet Steve at one of the meets up further north. I drove 1,000 miles to get to an FB meet in those days. It was incredible. But Ian did come down, and where was I with this? So we're talking about Bounce. Okay, Bounce was very very much like Mad Dogs, but probably had more people, to be honest. So Badlands, his filming of these events, if anyone wants to see what Mad Dogs really looked like, and he was taking a 2012 tricopter and making it look like a DJI today. I mean, really beautiful stuff.
So that stuff I was showing with all the planes in formation, that is Martin at the back with his tricopter bent forward this far, keeping up with all the planes absolutely beautifully. He did the best stuff.
Do you remember the loop filming, Wayne? So we would all chase each other and then go into a loop. And I've got some footage that I downloaded last week. I just forgot to do anything with it. But one where I think it was you behind me, and there's this perfect loop and the perfect chase within the loop. It was incredible.
It's much harder to do than you think, isn't it? Especially when you do different types of planes. Let me ask Jack this, because
playing your sim.
You what?
FPV Steve's been playing your simulator.
Well, he's got good taste. I was just going to say, Jack, you'd heard of Mad Dogs, hadn't you? Had you heard of any of the other events like Bounce?
I never heard of Bounce.
There you go. It was all Mad Dogs.
And I really wanted to go, and I sent an email.
Who'd you send an email to?
I don't know, but I was like, get me in a part of that.
Yeah, but
And,
that might be in the
it-
intention of the email. But as Curry knows, the emails that you get from Jack don't necessarily reflect the intention.
Just random letters that you have to correct and send back to him generally.
just face plant a keyboard. That's about what you get.
It would be fantastic to do that sort of stuff again. We just have to find the
you
right
turn it into
location
my
where we
next
can run away from very quickly in case anybody comes after us.
Well, there's a plan for how we might do a kind of mini air show invitational that could be quite good for doing some quite mad things.
I like where this is going, Frank. Tell us more.
I don't want to say too much on air at the moment, but when I know a bit more about how we're going to do it, then I will at least put the shout out of what we're going to do. Well, at least how to get involved. But I'll keep you updated. But yeah, this is definitely kind of inspiring a bit more interest in getting that happening this year.
Cool. What area is that going to be, Frank?
That will be in the Midlands area.
Okay.
We'll see.
As specific as that. Well, yep. I think is enough talk possibly of the old days, because it was a lot of fun. It was very unregulated. But what's happening now, I think that's probably something to talk about. You know, a lot of pilots came in because they previously used to be real pilots. You know, I mean, I used to fly Cessna 172. I then went on to microlights when I couldn't afford the GA anymore, and then FPV, and then I promised Wayne that I was going to get into some other form of flying, like rotorcraft, but that I never did.
You were going to do power motors, weren't you? PPM.
I was going to do PPG, and then I thought, you know, I kind of like my legs. I don't like there's just something about it. I love the wind in my face, to be honest, but I don't think I would do PPG. But I'm pretty interested in gyroplanes, and I think if I ever go back into sort of general aviation again, it would be gyros, because when all the Cessnas and everyone else lands, that's when the gyros go up and have fun. They're very unaffected by turbulence and wind effects, and they can go in the meanest weather, which is brilliant.
I have a friend called Chris who I could try and put you in touch with, who is a big gyrocopter guy. So he's cool. If that's any good to you, man, I think he still flies. So that might be a good laugh. Do you want to read that out as soon as you're done taking a drink, Blue Owl? Ask a question.
What, the comment? You think I'm too quiet tonight? All right, thank you, Jack.
Okay.
So the question is, talk about Reach's first. Oh, that's a good one. How do you read that? Midwin?
Talk about Rich's first Mitwin flight with the antenna tracker.
Let her do it. International woman week.
Good.
Sorry. I actually don't remember that. Ian, I was drunk, I believe, at the time. And as I recall, I had two My Twin Dreams. The one was built over about a 3-month period, had one flight, and then I ordered another one immediately, having learned from whatever mistake it was that I'd made.
That's the only way that I've seen or heard of the My Twin Dreams being flown is once. Do
you know something?
They're really good.
The second one I did, I flew Beachy Head. I had that sunset flight in Oxford, which was everyone loved it. It was a very, very good flight, very buttery smooth and everything. It's only ever topped by Ian Coyote, because he went and put a gimbal on. And I said to him, like, that's like Botox, that's like Botox for GoPros. But I had also discovered something that nobody really knew, was that if you put on an ND filter, you wouldn't get the horrible,
Jello.
the prop effect. Okay, so we put an ND filter on, it just looks like a little animation. So when you panning across your props, especially on the twins, it just looks beautiful. So I used to fly FPV like I flew regular planes. So if you do in the circuit and you're going to do a right hand or a left hand, you're coming into base, I would turn my camera and do exactly what I would do in a regular plane. It turns out that I actually made some really great footage. But on the twin, the second twin that I built, the one that had the black and yellow tape, I bought. It probably cost me £500, £600 to put it together, and I sold it for £1,000 about a year afterwards, because this thing I had some pedigree. It flew that early morning Oxford flight, which I put up. Then I put another flight up where the intro to the video was a link to the Samaritans. All right, because it was shot at Beachy Head. I mean, I don't want to put Beachy Head on my video, and then I got a whole lot of morbidly depressed people thinking, shit, that's a good idea. But an amazing flight over the head and over the lighthouse and everything. So I was answering you. No, I wasn't answering your question. I was just replying to you, saying that no, that those. Okay, you're right. Everyone does crash their twins almost immediately, but I held on to mine for about a year.
I blame the flight control. There's two things I should mention, and one of, if you ever get a chance to fly with Rich, you must do so, because it's the most engaging, hilarious thing in the world. Rich would maybe deny this, but there's a lot of talk coming from him if there's a slight flicker, just a flicker of static, and there's a lot of shouting from you about who just turned on 5.8. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, if your plane's 10 miles away and you see someone's crotch because they're trying to fix something on the tail, it's like, okay.
There's a flicker, just a flicker. I've got a lot of audio about you telling me the right way to fly a plane, and it's like, not like that, not like that, not like that, not like that. Oh fuck, Wayne, what are you doing? What are you doing with that? But it was all hilarious fun. I think maybe the tracker thing was, in the early days of tracker, it didn't seem to always work. I think I've seen them act as like an anti-tracker. So you move the plane towards it, it gets shy and turns away. Of course, this was the way of going sort of the beyond 10K thing. You get a very large helical, like 12 turn or something. But of course, that band is very narrow, so you have to have it pointed. And if you've got a tracker, that will do it. And as soon as that starts misbehaving, it's like, I'm going over here now. You are screwed. Maybe it's one of those ones. See, well, Ian agrees with me. It is hilarious.
It is hilarious. And I've just been reminded, and Ian, bless you, mate. I'm going to give you a call pretty soon, maybe after this. I bought the first kit. Maybe Ian can tell us in the comments there. You had to buy the sort of cutout of wood and everything, and then you had to make this thing on a camera stand, and you needed to source these. I think it was the three. I had Ian up until about 2:00 in the morning, helping me over a 3-day period trying to get that bloody thing configured. And I forget what it was called. See, now you just buy everything and it comes off the shelf. Then you actually had to make it, set the limits, do the programming. When did we? Oh yes, Ian was talking about the auto launch as well. That was quite fun as well. And you see, that video you spoke about earlier on and the auto launch that Ian's talking about now, those are the videos that I spoke to you in the pre-show saying, you're not going to play them, are you? You're not.
I could find it now. What Richard's talking about is we had a challenge. Both him and Ian had the same plane and the same flight controller, which was the, what was it called? It's the
My Flight Dream.
The My Flight Dream
Auto Dream, yeah.
And it has an auto launch mode. Of course, everybody flying iNav will be familiar with this sort of thing. Back in the day, there was no iNav.
You'd hold the stick down and then the elevons would twitch. Is that right?
No, the idea is that you set a ramp up on your gains so that it spools up nice and easy, and then you give it a chuck, and then if you're really cool, you just won't even look at your radio. You'll just be like, "Hey, is it okay?" So the whole challenge was who would react the slowest.
Let's just say someone broke into a bit of a trot on the way back to their raid.
But if you got a grand wrapped up in a piece of foam, okay, and you got a whole lot of your friends watching, and the whole thing's being filmed, it would be rather unnatural just to. It's like leaving your kid in a market somewhere in a foreign country and just walking away. You don't do it. You just don't.
You know, you forced me into doing this, Rich.
I lost
I'm
that
gonna
one.
have
I
to.
lost it. Oh, fuck. Here we go.
I'm finding the video. Hold on. Let's see this, shall
There
we?
we go. Demonetized straight away. Sorry.
Interested to see how this goes, because in my head you're all lined up with your wings like 20 meters away from your radios and just trying to walk as slowly as you can back to it.
But Wayne's going to play a complimentary video after this. Right.
So you can see we've got
me on the right hand side.
Rich here on the left. This is Ian on the right. The radios are back behind us. They're going to do their launch.
That's some fat bald guy. That's not me.
Let's see what happens. Yep.
Yeah, but come on, look at that plane.
It was a good-looking plane.
And you don't really get the impression of quite how big it is from the video, but having seen it on a dining room table, it is enormous as a bit of foam.
So it's all quite cool. Oh, he's breaking into a run.
Oh, you're such a mate. There we go. So, look at Ian. He just is taking a walk back. He's going to grab himself a cappuccino.
Casually put his goggles on.
Better go.
I love my text about pooping is in the background of that video.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, that's absolutely. I was actually very pleased to see that, and I think, you especially through the forum, we discuss, how's your weekend? What is your weekend? Even if, my Viper is bigger, Caroline. How much bigger? Come on, how much bigger is it? I want to know. You just tell me exactly if we're doing science here. But Wayne, what were you talking about? I've just totally lost my train of thought. Caroline was.
Bravery,
you were great. You were pleased to see that video.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because if you weren't crashing it, then you were doing something proper. But something like the auto launch. You remember that one video where I did where it was an instructional video on how not to get a random member of the public to throw your plane into the ground. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, that was like the. Rich is a very friendly man, and we'll just befriend any passer by.
Yeah, so he throws the thing before I switch on.
I think throw is not the right word. He basically just let it go out his hand and it dropped to the floor. It's not really a throw, was it?
Yeah, but I think I said something like, okay, so on 3, you can give it a toss, and then I'm busy sorting myself out, and next thing, my goggles, and I'm seeing the grass. And then I have a look, and it's about 3 days worth of repair and stuff like that. I do miss that, but I think definitely I'm going to be putting something together now, and you guys can tell me exactly what long range system to get, so that I don't have to spend stupid money making all those mistakes and having to go through that sort of apprenticeship. You guys can just tell me exactly what I need off the shelf. Basically,
easier now.
Is it? Cool.
You can go digital as well and talk about how lovely the grass looks through this high definition goggles.
See every drop of rain on the lens. There's a question that FPV Steve has put in as well in the chat. Have you got any plans to start flying planes again with new digital gear?
Absolutely, Steve. There's no question about it. I've got 2 drones. Well, my daughter's got one. I've got one. So we got the Mavics, but they are boring as fuck. I've got to get back to real FPV.
It's fine. We've got an editor. Thank you, editor.
What, you mean I can say
cock, fuck, shit, fuck, wank.
All right. Because, okay.
That seems to have made you more speechless rather than less.
Because now I've got the C word on my brain, and I never use it. I only invoke the C word when it's absolutely
Call
necessary.
our guest the C word.
Yeah, when it's absolutely necessary. I haven't had cause to use that word for 3-4
She
days.
often uses that word to describe me.
Yeah. No, Steve, definitely. I want to get back into it. I missed it a hell of a lot, and I'm looking for a big plane, and I need everything because I just when I got rid of the Twin Dream, the radio had to go with it, and everything else had to go with it, and then life just happened, and then I put my focus into maybe gyros or PPG, and then stuff just happened, and nothing happened then. So definitely pretty keen to get back. But somebody has to come up with an FPV meet, though. Somebody has to come up with what we did in the past, because I couldn't do that now. You know what I mean? To go somewhere, camp, have it arranged, and be able to fly.
Let's wait for Frank to come back to us with a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've also got plans. I mean, I say plans. The idea of the LDO no, there's still that to happen that we were going to do last summer, and we'll maybe try again at doing this summer with it's a slightly different event that'll be much more quad focused than wing focused. You might struggle to do any long range there, but I get the impression that you'd probably try anyway. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be some events. If anyone is looking for events otherwise, generally the best place to go is the IFPV website. They've got all the listings of not only the race events, but also the casual meetups and local leagues and things like that as well, if you're interested in the quad racing. But they do have other events on there as well. That's a good place to start. So hopefully we'll see some more events when events can happen again. We'll see.
I know. I miss you all, guys. It's the same thing day in, day out. There's only so many flight test planes you can build before you start getting weird.
Did anybody manage to do any flying this week? No. I will just say I tried. I had the most disappointing day ever on Wednesday when I took my poorly knee. I packed my backpack with a quad to test and some goggles. I thought I'll do my part 2 reviews. It took me 52 minutes to walk to the field, except it turned out it wasn't the field anymore, because in the 3 months that I haven't been there, it's now a building site. And so I had to turn around and walk all the way back again. And I've got no footage, no flying, and a hurty knee.
That's even better. You should have flown there. More interesting than a field.
It's not just the fact that it's a building site. They've also erected fences all the way around it, so I can't even get in.
Awesome.
And they have security guards everywhere. So it's fantastic.
You just need the Tony approach. You just give them a nifty 50.
I can't afford to bribe everybody 50 quid every time I test a quad.
So, would the footage not get you 50 quid back then? Is that not how that works? You're not like a mainstream YouTuber making thousands of pounds off of every video.
Get me 50p if I'm lucky.
After another glorious Charger review.
Yeah.
I didn't even get the charge. Andy's got lots of charges to review. I'm nothing. Have I got a new flying field? No. I am currently screwed. There's nothing that I can walk to currently. There are some places I can drive to, but it becomes more hassle. But I'll think about something. So short term, nothing. Expect my YouTube channel to not involve any flying stuff. Long term, I'll sort something out eventually.
The other thing for looking for people to fly with is that as well as the BMFA Club Finder, now FPV UK have also put up a Club Finder which not only has clubs, but you can also stick your own details on there to be like, I want to go and find other people nearby to fly with, come find me. And people post up like their local Facebook groups and things up on there as well. So that can be a good place to find people to fly with when that's legal again.
People's secret sites and stuff. so we don't have to all wear open-toed sandals.
Socks and sandals. Yeah.
Blue Owl, have you got any questions?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Can you do some talking?
Could you make something up?
No, I guess I can.
Has anyone
Good
tried
story.
Curry's latest version of his simulator?
I haven't. I only fly with you guys.
Yeah,
So
same.
Everybody has to try
you
the
don't fly, I don't
game.
fly.
I haven't flown it yet either. Not
I've done
since
Curry Kit Wednesday.
being
What more do you want?
not since getting very close to putting the radio through the screen. I haven't played it since then.
It got easier since then.
Good. Well, we'll have to have a session this weekend, assuming it's not amazing weather and everyone else has disappeared off to fly somewhere.
I find that unlikely from my point of view.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, we've made it to an hour, guys. So should we call it there?
Seems reasonable.
No worries. I am on the Thursday night show from midnight till 1 tonight. So that's the thursdaynightshow.com. If you want to listen to some 80s-ish tunes, I guess. I think we're doing 80s again. So I'll be there with my sex robot from the future. And I'll be
Jesus.
and I'll be playing some music. You've been listening to Let's Drone Art that's supported and loved by all our Patreons, and thank you guys so much. We love you guys, and everyone who tunes in and keeps this show alive. It will get better when we get out. We'll do some serious flying and try and push the limits.
Get some decent
Rich,
guests.
yeah, if you get in the air, let us know, and we'll come out and have a tear up with you. It sounds like
Absolutely.
there's some stories still there. We can dive off Beachy Head.
New stories to make. We just might not be able to put them on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it, man. You're gonna have to give me a link to your playlist
Best
so
way.
I can watch them and find out, compare notes from you and Curry. But we've been joined by the one and only Andrew /Frank,
Bye.
the lovely, beautiful but quiet Blue Owl,
Bye.
everyone's favourite Curry Kitten,
Goodbye.
and Flyboy C.
Tot ziens.
And I've been Bright Till I Fly. Thank you guys so much, and hopefully we'll all be out soon.